How you doing, guys? Dean here from WeCoach Crypto. Hope you're keeping well and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Look, I wanted to do a video regarding the economy and what's going on, okay? Because over the last few weeks, okay, especially the last few weeks, I've seen a massive shift in sentiment, in phone calls on getting off people that are very smart in the industries that they're in. I've had bank managers, I've had property developers, I've had just other business people, guys that own companies that are doing very well for themselves. All different guys from different walks of life are all ringing me because they know, and these are friends of mine, and they've become business acquaintances over time, asking me what my thoughts are, because I talk a lot about the economy. I have a massive interest. It's something I've been studying, how banking systems work, how the economy works, how recessions work, how the actual system works, not from a Lloyds TSB or a HSBC standing in there and working behind the counter and counting out cash and understanding how mortgages work. Understand how the whole system works, how the whole system's built from the outside and from the inside, but not from a I'm going to go work at a bank point of view. Do you understand what I mean? I hope you get that. And how the system benefits humanity and how it kind of doesn't benefit humanity and what it's there for. So I've been studying the banking system for a while, okay, and the financial system, okay, and what I've come to understand is, and this is my opinion, and don't take my opinion, you should go out there and do your own research. I expect every single one of you to leave a comment or question anything I'm saying, and if you do question it, I highly advise you don't believe what I'm saying and you go out there and look for yourself, because that's what I'm trying to get you to do here. I'm going out, I'm putting these things out there for you to go and look at this yourself and make sense of it yourself. But what I see coming isn't great, okay? And I didn't want to do this video because I didn't want to put fear into people, because that's the last thing I want to do. When people are so depressed now, people are worrying, people are stressed out, people are having a bad time financially, I don't want to put more worry onto them. But I want them to open up their eyes. I want them to look at the system and so they can make changes. They can do things differently. Because listen, relying on the government, okay, ain't gonna do you no good. The government ain't coming here to save you. They can't save you. How are they gonna save you? The gas prices are gonna go up at the end of the year. What are they gonna do? They're gonna give you a couple £100 to pay that bill, but your gas bill's gone up by thousands. That ain't gonna help you. The food prices have gone up by hundreds, even not thousands, on your yearly shop. Fuel prices have gone up. Inflation's just going to 18.6%, as Citibank said. Does not surprise me. Like I said, I had people from all different walks of life, bankers, businessmen, etc., all ring me over the last few weeks, which has made me think the shift is now starting to happen and it's starting to become visually apparent, okay, that this shift is starting now, this economic shift is starting now, okay. I'm getting friends call me, people asking me my advice on what to do, what am I going to do. It's a difficult one because everyone's in a different position. I know property developers that have got 10 properties that they're trying to build. They've been trying to build them since 2020. Obviously the lockdowns caused a lot of problems and they're struggling now. They're not struggling financially, but they're struggling to make the deal work because everything's getting more expensive. I know people that are over leveraged themselves. Now they're panicking. I know friends that want to get out of this country now. They've had enough. They've had enough of this government. They've had enough of this system. They're working and they're getting 50% of their money taken off them. And not only that, we're getting inflation hitters as well. Recessions, what do recessions do? And it depends how deep you want to go here. Recessions take money off the majority and it heads it up to the few. The smart goes back up to the smart. The money goes back up to the smart people. They overpriced the property market. They overpriced the stock market. They blow the stock market. They blow the property market. Bankrupts people. What happened in 2008? The system was finished. We had a debt default on was it mortgage-backed securities. There's loads of shit mortgages out there that just couldn't be repaid. They were giving out loans to people that couldn't really afford them. So all these mortgages started piling up and then we had a mortgage default, didn't we? In 2008, the whole economy came down by 50% or something like, I don't know, it's something stupid that the property market came down around 40, 30, depending on what area you're in, but it came down a lot. The whole system should have finished then. What did they do? The central banks all got together, because the central banks are the ones that control this whole system. Remember that. They come out and they started printing money. Had they not printed money, it would have been a lot worse. A lot worse. But they printed money to try and get the system lifted again. Because if they hadn't have printed money at the time that they done it, we would have gone into a Mad Max situation. People don't believe that. People will go, yeah, Dean, you're chatting shit. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Fine. You don't need to believe me here. People thought it would have gone into a Mad Max situation. The ability to move money to move around the world would have stopped. That means you being able to use your credit card would have stopped. You being able to withdraw money out, it would have stopped. We put money back into the system, which then caused inflation. Where did that inflation go? That inflation where did it go? It went back into the property market. Property prices started rising again. It didn't go into consumer products like food. They were very smart how the banking system done this. Okay, it went into consumer goods. It didn't go into consumer goods. It went into assets, the stock market, the property market, back into business activity, which is all good on the way up. But what's happened is now the world is engulfed in debt. Every country is in debt. Without central banking intervention, it's finished. It would have been finished in 2008. The whole system would have been collapsed. Would have gone back to fucking. It would have gone back to literally. I don't know, but it wouldn't have been good. It would have been literally how society is now. It wouldn't have been nothing like that. It would have been, the ability to fucking eat or anything like that would have struggled. People wouldn't be able to buy food. They wouldn't have been able to feed their kids. They wouldn't be able to put fuel in because nothing would have worked, because the money wouldn't have been moving, because the whole system would have froze up. That's what would have happened in 2008, 2007 when the market collapsed. Rolling on, all this money's gone into the system. How have they kept the system growing? Tell me, how have they kept the system growing? By putting more and more and more and more money into the same system that's broken. It's the only way they can do it. They have to borrow from tomorrow just to sustain today. That's the only way they can do this system now. It's not a fair system. It's not a system that the money's backed by anything, because it's not. It's just printed out of thin air. Central banks print money out of thin air. You have to go to work for it, obviously, but it's printed out of thin air. It's not backed by gold like it was before. Then it'd have some value, but it hasn't got no value. That's why it's printed. The dollar has literally collapsed down to nothing. From when it was first created, its value for what it could buy to what it can buy now is next to nothing. It's like 98%, 99% lost its value in comparison to goods. That's why we've got inflation. That's why the prices are going up. But more so, moving forward from 2020, what did they do? What happened? They locked down the world, because of a virus that was that deadly that you needed to have injections to protect you. But what did they do as well? They come up with support packages, financial support packages to help people get through this really bad COVID situation that was taking over the world. Everybody was cheering because it was free money. House prices were rocketing. Car prices were rocketing. People felt rich again because the stock market was booming. Everybody had a few more quid in their pocket. But what problem does that cause? When you've got more money in circulation, supply is getting higher. The supply of that money coming into the system, because they're just printing it and giving it out, because it's got no value. It's giving it out. Why? Why were they doing that? Were they trying to stabilise the economy, were they? Because obviously business activity had shut down all around the world. They're giving out all this money to help people. But what has it only gone and done now, rolling on 2 years? It's caused inflation to go crazy. So what they've given you, they're now taking away. But they're now taking away tenfold. Because they can't inflate anymore. The central banks, they know the game. Remember, the central banks know the game. These guys are scientists when it comes to money and how money works. They know the game. Do not think they do not know the game. These politicians may be a bit stupid, but the central banks know what they're doing. Okay. So they put all this money out into the system now. Caused inflation. Too much money in the system. So what they need to do, inflation's going to 80%, 18%. People can't afford it. Their wages ain't gone up. Business activity hasn't gone up. Business activity has gone down the fucking drain. There's more money in circulation, but that money has less value. Do you know what I mean? You buy an apple 10 years ago and you buy an apple today, the apple's still an apple, isn't it? Just how much because there's more money there and there's less apples, it costs more dollars to buy that one apple. So now what's happening? Like, I'm going to keep going back to what's happening right now. We've got inflation going crazy, okay? The value of money is becoming worthless. The food products haven't changed. The value of money is becoming worthless. And you've got money in your bank and you're not getting no interest on it. People are struggling out there. The news are coming out. And another thing, the media is scaring people. That's the problem. It's perception. It's scaring people. A lot of the media is scaring people. But okay, I'm gonna stick to what I'm saying here. Where are we going in the future? We're gonna have a collapse. It's inevitable. We're gonna have a collapse. We're gonna have a financial collapse that is gonna dwarf the fucking world. Believe me. I might be a conspiracy theorist. I might be this. I might be that. You can call me whatever you want. I know what I see and I know what's happening, and I've looked at previous collapses. I've took the time to go through history, looking at every single collapse we've had, looking at every single currency we've had over the last 3,000 currencies, and not one currency has survived. And what's going to happen? We're in inflation now. The economy is going to collapse at some point, okay? I can't tell you when, but it's looking very close now. This shift is starting to happen. The economy is going to collapse. And when the economy collapses, okay, you're going to see poverty on a level that is truly going to be scary. People are going to be out in the streets rioting like you've never seen before because they can't feed their kids. They can't pay their bills. Humanity is just going to lose full control. Is that maybe part of the agenda? Is that maybe part of the plan? Problem, reaction, solution. Cause a problem that's that bad. Wait for the people to make a reaction, and then they're going to come up with a solution. We don't know. Let's see what happens. But all I'm telling you is, food prices are going through the roof. It's becoming unsustainable. Gas prices are going through the roof. Like I said to you, everybody was dancing around in 2020 because they thought everything was going up. Now everything's coming down. People can't afford to have these things. Look in the US, the property prices, they're starting to drop now. People say to me, Dean, the property prices aren't going to drop. Fine, they won't drop. Cool. So they're not going to drop, they're not going to drop. It is what it is. It don't bother me that they're not going to drop. People say to me, because I have so many comments, people saying, property's solid, it ain't going to drop. If property dropped in 2008 when we were that much in debt as a world, yeah, as a country, as a world is in debt. After that crisis, it dropped 50%. Now we're about 7 times more debt. The world's in more debt, and more countries. It's only the US that defaulted then, yeah? The whole world's about to default. And you're telling me property's only going to drop by a small percentage? People are not going to care about property. People are going to walk away from properties. When people haven't got the ability to even eat, do you think they give a shit about property and their investments when they can't even feed their kids? I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just trying to get people to understand where this is going. In 2008, people were not telling you that we were about to have a crisis. You're being pre-warned now there's going to be a crisis. You're being pre-warned because governments are getting people mentally and media are getting people ready that there's something big's coming. Yes, they're trying to scare you as well, but something big is coming. Guys, you need to think about what you're doing, okay? You're going to see a lot of these, you know, these so-called millionaires, these, you know, fake it till you make it people. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of these people, a lot of this wealth being stripped away because a lot of it's fake. Media has built people up, and to me, how I think this looks like now is when I step back in it and I look at it and I look at it from the bigger picture, I look at it as it's a game of trickery. That's how I look at it. I look at that. The media has pumped everything up and things are great and, you know, things are brilliant and everybody's trying to dive in to get into different assets and property and stuff like that. They're over leveraging themselves and now they're going to pull the plug. They're going to pull the plug. If you don't own something and the bank owns a percentage of it, you're getting taken off you. Simple. And the other thing about this money tightening policy that we're having right now is they're pulling the money out of the system. So there's not as much money circulating. They're pulling chunks of money out. They're not printing more. We've been going through a cycle where money's been easy for the last 10 years. They're printing and printing and printing and printing and printing, putting more money into the system. Growth has been there. Times are good. Now they're going, well, do you know what? We pumped all this money in the system. Inflation's gone really high. We need to do something about it because people can't afford to eat. So we need to pull that money out of the system to protect inflation, put the interest rates up to try and get up with that inflation rate. But what damage is that having? No money's moving now. Activity is slowing down. I've had 3 people in the last week offer me their Rolex watches on a big discount to what they paid for them last year when the prices were high. Car prices are starting to go down. Like I said, in the US, you're starting to see a lot of people move into the market and put their properties up for sale. And what's happening is, before there was not a lot of not a lot of properties coming on the market. That because there wasn't a lot of properties coming on the market because the price was rising, investors were holding on to them, waiting for that extra buck. Now what's happening is, because they're taking money and the interest rates are going up, applications are dropping, people applying to get properties is dropping. Okay, and because it's dropping, people are starting to panic and going thinking, fucking hell, is this the top now? They're putting their properties on the market. Now what's happening? Everybody's seeing everybody else putting their properties on the market. More people are putting their properties on the market. What happens is you're getting oversupply. No demand because the interest rates are too high and people can't afford to pay their monthly payments along with the inflation that we've got. So what happens? Everybody's fighting against each other to bring the prices down. So, well, I want to fight against that guy. He's got a higher price. He's got a lower price than me. So I need to beat him because otherwise I ain't going to be able to sell my house. You know, I ain't going to be able to sell my house before he sells his. And I need the money. I need to get out of here. And everybody's doing that against each other. Then just wait until big hedge funds start dumping thousands of properties onto the market. They're going to drive the market fully lower. If you've still got a mortgage on that property and that property drops below the price that you paid for it, you're in negative equity. Toppled with the inflation rate, toppled with no money, toppled with job losses out there. Jobs are going to get lost because companies are going to go bankrupt. They can't afford to be paying these staff here anymore. Money's tight, remember. The government is taking the money back in. Then what will happen after that? When things get really bad, when people are really struggling, people can't afford to eat. Hearing, you know, you're hearing things on the news that people, you know, they're left with 20, 30 pounds at the end of the week to feed their kids. What's going to happen? Problem, reaction, solution. The government's going to come up with a way to help you. This, I might be going a bit too deep here and I'll probably do it in another video, but there's another part to all this. But all I'm saying is the economic side of it isn't looking too good. So you've got to think about what you're doing. You've got to go out there and you've got to look for answers. You've got to maybe set something up. You've got to maybe look at, you know, how you can cut down your bills. Because things are going to get tough. They are going. This is not the time to be taking stupid risks. And I'm not saying here, don't be an entrepreneur and don't. Obviously, you've got to find ways of making money. All I'm saying is, things are getting hairy out there now, and things are getting rough out there. You know, look at the crypto market. I'm in crypto. There's no interest in the crypto. I'll be honest with you. There's no interest in crypto at the moment. Apart from big investors, they get it. The smart investors get it. The market's come down. We're going to buy the bottom. But retail investors, they can't afford it. They genuinely can't afford it at the moment. Why can't they afford it? Because they've got bills to pay. They've got mortgages to pay. They've got gas bills that are tripling soon. Guys, you've got to have the moral high ground here. You've got to think about what you're doing. You've got to sit down, research it. Okay? Recessions can be really good, yeah? They can be really good. But the problem is the world's in so much debt now, it's going to, for the majority of people here, it's going to cause massive problems. If you're using a credit card now, what if Lloyds TSB, because I've already spoken to someone very high up in Lloyds TSB and at Barclays and at HSBC, and I'm getting a very similar consensus, they're cutting loans. They're getting ready and prepared to cut loans. So if you've got an overdraft, that can be cut at any time. So if you're now using your wages and at the end of each month now, you're using your overdraft to get you through or to buy other things, what if that overdraft went tomorrow morning? What if it got cut? What the bank can do that? Of course they can do it. You're borrowing money off them. They can cut your overdraft off at any time they want. If things start to get crazy out there, they can cut anything off they want. They can shut your bank. If the bank collapses and it's got your money in there, the bank, what the policy is of the bank, when you put money into a bank, it's not your money anymore, it's their money. It's not your money. So if they collapse, how are you going to get your money out? What if you're left with no money? People say, Dean, you're fucking crazy, man. You're fucking mad. What are you going on? Just go look at 1929, the Great Depression. Just go look at that. That's what you got to do. People are queuing up to try and get their money out of the banks. After we'd had a massive bull market, things were great. Things were fantastic. Property prices were rocketing. Everybody had money. Stock prices were crazy. Everybody was in the stock market, just like everybody's in the property market right now. They say history don't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. Have a look at what I'm saying, guys. Do your own research. It's time to take action now. You've got to think about what you're doing. I keep repeating myself, and I might sound like, you know, some crazy guy, but my friends and family and Funcho and that begged me to do this video because the information that I have and the knowledge that I've got, they want me to share it to help other people. This is about, I don't want nothing off you guys. I just want you guys to look at what you're doing and to maybe question some of the stuff that's going on out there. The government ain't coming to save you. No one's coming to save you. You've got to be out there to save yourself. You guys have probably got families and kids and stuff like that. This can get, like, coming into this winter, a lot of people are going to be tested. A lot of people are going to be tested. I'm going to do another video on about, you know, how the government's, just how the government works and how media works and what it's doing to you, doing to people, okay? But from a financial point of view, guys, you know, inflation is going to get a lot worse. We're going to see it. I potentially think we're going to see a massive housing crash here. I do. And, you know, if people are going to say, no, we're not, because we're not going to have a massive housing crash because the demand on housing, people still need housing, you need to come back to me with something better than that. If you're going to come to me with an argument and say, well, do you know what, we're still short on supply on housing. Housing doesn't mean fuck all if no one can afford it. If the banks ain't lending you no money to buy a house, then the house ain't worth nothing. It's going to bring the house prices right down, isn't it? If you can't get a mortgage because none of the banks are lending, because we're in a massive recession, half the banks in the world are collapsing, and the central banks are taking money out of the system, then it don't matter. Because if you can't get a mortgage to pay, if you can't get a loan to take out on a house, then it doesn't mean nothing. And what I'm hearing, speaking to people that actually work in banks, is that they're pulling back on loans. Say they've got 20 loans out there they've done last month. Just say, for example, they've done 20 loans. 80% of them are going to be cut next. So when you move into the next couple of months, they're saying only 20% of the previous 100% of loans that you've been giving out, we're only giving out now. So that's 80% cut. That's going to drive the amount of houses and the amount of loans and the amount of money that's going into circulation out. So banks are not willing to lend any more money. And you know when banks aren't willing to lend money, because that's their primary income, making interest on lending money, and they're not lending money, you know things are fucked. Guys, have a great day, yeah, after all that. But I wanted to give you this video because I wanted to give you something a bit real. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and go, oh, we're going to be millionaires and this, that and the other. And yes, I still believe that there's great opportunity here, but I want to prepare people for what is coming because it isn't looking good. It isn't looking good. How you deal with it is down to you. How I'm going to deal with it, I'm going to deal with it in a positive way. But I want to tell you all the things that are going on so you can see them for what they really are. That's it. I want you to see them for what they really are. Have a great day, guys. Keep winning. And if you've got any questions, you know where to find me.